We have to hand it to Rondale Moore. He did improve from 2021 to 2022. He went from a 14% target share to a 19.5% target share. He went from an average target distance of 3.3 yards to 5.3 yards. That's like a 60% increase in his depth of target. He's going to be the slot receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. And looking at his game logs, we were able to see 4 games where Rondale Moore, 4 of his 8 games where he finished as a wide receiver 2 or not going to give you 25-point upside like your Hopkins or even your Marquise Hollywood Browns, but a forgotten wide receiver on this offense ultimately because Rondale Moore struggles with injuries. He's a small dude with soft tissue issues. So Rondale Moore, I like his peripherals. I loved him coming out of college, out of Purdue, a mid-second round pick. He's still only 22 years old. He'll be 23 by the time the season starts. But you're having wide receivers come out of this draft. You're having quarterbacks being drafted who are 25, 26 years old, and Rondale Moore isn't even 23 yet. So I want in on Rondale Moore at a great value for next year. He's going to be one of those later wide receivers that I want the public to forget about. And I want to be in on drafting a lot of Rondale Moore early because I anticipate that there's not going to be a lot of replacement for Moore in the slot. If we look at what he was able to do, there were 5 games this year where Moore had 8 or more targets, 5 of his 8 games. And he left one of those 8 games with an injury in week 11. He only played 3% of the snaps. If you like the content, you found this helpful, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. So in really 7 games, 5 of his 7 games, he had at least 8 targets. And yes, they're close to the line of scrimmage. And yes, he only exceeded, 46 air yards twice of those 7 games where he played majority of snaps. But he's an every snap type of wide receiver. And in full PPR leagues, a flex play almost every week. You're looking at 13, 23, 14, 18 fantasy points for Rondale Moore during those games. Like, if he falls in the end zone, we're talking about a top 10. Heck, he did hit top 6 this year in week 8 against Minnesota. So finding the right matchup, Rondale Moore is interesting. And if there are quarterbacks who are not going to be throwing far down the field, he could be a safety valve, safety blanket. And that's, I think, another reason why we saw an increase in target share for James Conner near the end of the season. These low ADOT targets stopped going to Zach Ertz because of his injury and stopped going to Rondale Moore because of his. So I think that there is a little bit of tempering for James Conner because we anticipate Rondale Moore should be back. But there are legitimate concerns about Rondale Moore because of his neck strain, his ankle sprain that cost him 3 games in 2021, and then he had hamstring and groin strains that cost him 9 games in 2022. These are soft tissue issues that we are going to be monitoring throughout the offseason, but the first glimpse of Rondale Moore getting those soft tissue issues, man, I might be out. I do love Rondale Moore's peripherals and his average stats and all of those things, but my concerns are that can Rondale Moore stay healthy? His catchable target rate was 7th best among wide receivers. His target accuracy, so Kyler Murray was very accurate getting him the ball, 8th best among wide receivers. He was able to get target separation. He was 13th among all wide receivers in target separation. And target separation versus man coverage, number 2. He had 2.44 yards of separation per route run, and he had 3.36 against the zone. He's super speedy, super fast. He's a little Ant-Man out there, right? But the problem is he going to be on the field? And if Rondale Moore is on the field, he's a wide receiver 2 in PPR. So value him appropriately. He has the injury risk, but if he's discounted a lot in this offseason, or if he's forgotten about, give me some Rondale Moore if he is outside the top 50 of wide receivers in drafts.